Okay, I've tried to make this 3 times now. I'm just going to go for it. There's rumors that Bethesda has been forced to give up the Fallout rights over to Obsidian so that they can make a new game. I'm one of the people that are quite excited about this. I have a lot of disgruntlement towards Bethesda and how long they've been taking to make their games. But it's not just that. It's also design decisions that I want to get into very quickly. But yeah, it's been almost the winds of winter. 9 years since the trailer for Elder Scrolls 6 was just a complete lie to raise their valuation for Microsoft for the buyout. Whatever. Beyond focusing on the length of time it's taken, there's been a clear shift in just poor game design, in my opinion, going into each of their games. And I'm not even just talking about the generic ones where people are talking about the stripping away of RPG elements, the dialogue wheel, whatever. They get that they've done that. But it all comes from the same place where it feels like they want to craft out crappier games in a much quicker time span. First, I take a look at the Fallout 4 Minutemen settlement system and what that imposes, what that says about what Todd and the leadership strove to do in Fallout 4. It strove to keep players playing indefinitely by encouraging them to just grind little boring combat over and over and over again with no end goal in sight. No good carrot, no good game design. It was just a mindless grab at trying to get people to play forever, as was the base building in a way. And more importantly, the legendary or the unique weapons in Fallout 4, which most people want from in-game quests, lore, whatever. That's what makes those weapons cool. That design, in my opinion, has a lot to do with why Bethesda's games are reducing in quality and people are starting to notice, and why people get upset and very worried about Bethesda because they keep trying to take shortcuts. The game that they never should have made, Starfield, its entire design premise, to me, when you ask me, is that Todd and the leadership thought they could auto-generate dungeons, i.e. the planets, over and over again so you could just go and indefinitely play the game and not have well-crafted caves and systems and other dungeons to go fight in where each one could be unique and actually meaningful and have a touch of human art, because I guess they just hate that, because I guess it takes forever and they have to crunch a bunch, but they make great games that people would be proud of whenever they do that. Now, not all generative tech is bad, obviously. They probably use a lot of it to generate the worlds, but the way they're going about some of the core design really just makes me feel pretty sick. And now that they've got access to LLMs, I'm even more worried, because I've laid out a framework as to why I don't think they should have made Starfield, and that's why the Elder Scrolls has taken so long, and they haven't even started a new Fallout, because they started Starfield, and the only thing I could think, perhaps that it was also a Star Wars game before Disney bought out Lucasfilms, like in the early days, but I don't get why they wouldn't have canned it. So I don't know. Brandon Sanderson, the man who wrote the Mistborn series, the Stormlight Archives, as well as a lot of others, but also finished The Wheel of Time when Robert Jordan died, had once said great stories are able to capitalize on 2 of these 3 pillars. And the 3 pillars are character, plot, and setting. Now, I'm of the opinion that Bethesda has been able to do plot and setting. Maddie had once said that Fallout is very susceptible, very tied to their setting, and I hadn't looked at it till he said it. But also Skyrim is, because Skyrim is the Nordic scenes, Oblivion. Get where I'm going with this. If you ask me, their character's never been great. And instead of focusing on that and trying to make that pillar better so that they could just have legendary games, they are like pulling back on the plot, and they are weakening the plot because players are just gonna build homes and want to craft systems, right? Wrong. Think about the one game that managed to tie all 3 of those pillars together, where the story itself was about the setting, and the characters were worried about the setting, and the plot was driven by it all. That's Fallout New Vegas. And that's why it is adored. It's got endings that allow people to replay it indefinitely, because there's so many different branching options, and you get to really feel like your choices matter. And if Bethesda wants you to keep playing their games. They should strive to do that kind of replayability rather than locking you in to some sort of like Minecraft like world. But like, I don't think that's what people really want. I think the mods can do that. So ultimately, that's where I'm at with all this. I've found myself stunned that this is happening, if it's true. I think Bethesda needs to go back to the drawing board. It doesn't seem like Todd plays any of the games they play. You know, it sounds like he plays racing games or hockey games. And I think he needs to be less of a waterfall company, if you guys know the waterfall and agile terms. But all the decisions have to come from him. Everyone has to go through him. And that just slows everything down. And that also makes a foul product because some of the most influential bands and like creators, they were at each other's throats, or they, like Obsidian, had no time to do anything but make it work. And to me, I think that's when greatness happens in art. So I don't know. They either need to downsize, which I'm not a fan of people getting fired, but like they don't. Todd needs to split off like his core group and let other project leaders really handle some of the IPs, or they're gonna lose it like they did. They've sat in the Fallout franchise. You know how stupid it is that the TV show like revitalized Fallout for a lot of people like me, to the point where I'm like, even looking at the Magic the Gathering collector boxes, I'm like, I should just get that to have that. If it's gonna go up in price, I just want the box. You know, it's insane, and it's crazy to me that it's gotten to this point. And I hope Bethesda reels it back in because I know they can make great games. I hope the Elder Scrolls 6 is not just castle building and maybe even ship building and sailing. And I hope it's not generative islands and stuff like that. They needs to be a well-crafted world. They need to be storytellers, dungeon masters, because that's what they do. They're artists.